Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this horror DVD movie review as part of my July series, where I'm taking a look at certain horror movies from my DVD collection, as I did my Scream Factory collection a few months ago, and reviewing them. Um, so today we're going to do the first one, and I just kind of picked these at random, although they do have some ties to the time of the year that it is, the summer type of horror movies, although they're not summer horror movies per se. But anyway, the first one I chose was a more recent horror movie that I hadn't seen yet, and that is M Night Shyamalan's Old. Yeah, so I watched this for the first time. I heard pretty mixed reviews about it, mostly negative, so I wanted to check it out for myself, of course. And yeah, it's PG-13 from 2021, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So, Old is a 2021 American horror thriller film written, directed, and produced by M. Night Shyamalan. It is based on the French language Swiss graphic novel Sandcastle by Pierre Oscar Levy and Frederick Peters. The film features an ensemble cast consisting of Gail Garcia Bernal, Vicky Creeps, Rufus Swell, Alex Wolff, Thomason McKenzie, Abby Lee, Nikki Mirka Bird, Ken Lewing, Eliza Scanlon, Aaron Pierre, Elberth Davis, and Emran Elliott. I'm probably butchering most of those. The plot follows a group of people who find themselves aging rapidly on a secluded beach. So basically, it opens with Guy and Priza Kappa are going through a separation. To avoid saddening their young children, Maddox and Trent, the couple the couple take them to a tropical island as a final family vacation. At their hotel, Guy and Prisa are given complimentary drinks, and the children befriend uh, Idob, the resort manager's nephew. At night, Maddox and Trent overhear their parents arguing and play a message decoding games with Idil. I don't know if it's an I or a B that this name starts with. IDL. Ildub. Ildub. Yeah, so they play a message decoding game with Ildub. The next morning, the manager invites the family to a secluded beach where three additional parties are present. Rapper Brendan slash mid-sized sedan, which is an interesting name for a rapper, and his female companion, surgeon Charles, his elderly mother Agnes, his wife Crystal, and their young daughter Kara, as well as Jaron and Patricia Carmichael, a close-knit husband and wife. Trent discovers the corpse of Brendan's companion. Charles grows suspicious of Brendan, who reveals that he has been experiencing nosebleeds because of his hemophilia. After the children rapidly turn to teenagers and Agnes suddenly dies, the families conclude that the beach is aging them, with the occupants undergoing the equivalent of 1 year every 30 minutes. At least one member of each family has an underlying medical condition. They discover that trying to leave will result in them blacking out and waking up to where they left. So yeah, that's the setup and the premise for Old. As far as the cast goes, we have Gail Garcia Bernal as Guy Kappa, Vicky Creeps as Prisa Kappa, Rufus Sewell as Charles, Alex Wolff as Trent Kappa, Thomason McKenzie as Maddox Kappa, Abby Lee as Crystal, Nikki Amuka Bird as Patricia Carmichael, and Ken Lewing as Jaron Carmichael. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for M Night Shyamalan's Old from 2021. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty mixed about this movie myself to try to basically go along with the consensus out there. There's things I like about it, but there's quite a few things that don't work that well. So let's just go ahead and get into it. First of all, I'll say that as far as M. Night Shyamalan, I respect him as a filmmaker because I respect the fact that even though I don't think he's the best executing director in terms of executing ideas, I think that I like the fact that he goes for it. He takes chances. He doesn't just play it safe like a lot of Hollywood directors and go with sort of a safe bet. He really goes for the gusto, and a few movies he's hit on doing that, and a few have fallen flat on their faces. This one, I think, is a little bit more flat than it is hit on. But that being said, it's not terrible. It's not one of his worst movies, in my opinion. But I do like M. Night Shyamalan. I'm not a hater. I do give him a lot of respect for the fact that he takes chances where a lot of other directors don't. So, starting with the pros or the things that I liked about this movie, it's obviously a very interesting and unique premise. A lot of interesting ideas here with the whole aging process and how they use time on this island. You know, this. time speeding up and people's bodies aging and all sort of the body horror that goes along with that. It really makes for an engaging watch. I was definitely into this movie. I was never bored by it because I was really interested to see where it was going to go and how they were going to use these ideas throughout the movie. The movie has very good cinematography, as the movie looks great. They use a lot of like overhead shots and focusing shots, a lot of good camera work here. Both on the island, the water overall looks good, and the coral that would come into play later on. Very realistic and very nice to look at this movie. So obviously the fact that it's set on a tropical island too kind of makes us a lot of us long for being there ourselves, although probably not on this tropical island. I really did like the location and the setting of this movie, though. Kind of piggybacking on that, it felt like a pretty unique horror slash thriller, and I thought it helped the move. I thought it helped move the story along. This location that they shot at, so that was one thing that I really liked. There are some good thrilling moments and scenes throughout the middle of this movie. Not really scary necessarily per se, but pretty tense, especially for these characters that are what they're going through. Um, so yeah, I definitely felt that. I definitely felt those tense or thrilling kind of moments. There is a pretty good cast in this movie that adds some gravitas and some weight to the movie, including Alex Wolff, Thomason McKenzie, and Rufus Sewell, among others. There's some pretty good body horror effects as the characters either age or have their illnesses come to life. Well, it's not overly graphic or gory. I thought these things were still effective for me, um, especially from a PG-13 standpoint. It does have some thought-provoking ideas and themes, as I mentioned when I started my prose. It does have some thought-provoking ideas and themes that most anybody can basically relate to. So that was good. It definitely makes for an engaging watch for the audience. So yeah, those are my positives for the movie. Getting on to the cons or the negatives. The dialogue, that's the biggest one, and I don't know how much of it is the writing of the dialogue and how much of it is the delivery of the dialogue. My feeling is it's a little bit of both, but at the same time, you have pretty good actors and actresses here, so I have to believe it's probably more of the writing. M Night Shyamalan's never been the best dialogue writer to begin with, although some of his movies are better than others. This is one of the lower ones on the dialogue scale. So that's definitely the big con that stuck out, both in writing and delivery. Very clunky and cringy throughout. I mean, at the beginning, some of these characters are talking like robots, not very realistic human being interaction going on here. Like when one of the characters' wives has a seizure because she's epileptic, and another character who's a doctor approaches and says, "I'm a doctor. How can I help?" And the husband says, "I'm a nurse. My name is Jaron." Nurse. It's like this isn't how real people talk. M Night. Um, I respect you as a filmmaker, but you got to work on your dialogue polish, man. It's just very, and it takes you out of the movie too. That's how cringy it is at times. That really didn't work at all for me. I couldn't really get behind it, a lot of the characters, if any of them, in terms of the fact some of them we just don't know that much about. Oh yeah, here's a married couple that will throw at you, and I guess the most we know about is his family. The fact that the parents are going through some struggles. The wife has a tumor. They're planning on separating after this trip, but they don't want to tell their kids. But for the most part, a lot of these characters are just not much there given. And then on top of that, like I said, they just don't act like realistic people. So it's hard for us to relate to them in that regard and really feel for them when they either meet their demise or they're gone from the picture, so to speak. We just aren't as moved or as affected as much as we probably should be, or as I'm sure that the director would like us to be. Um, and then, of course, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, so we all know we're all waiting for the big twist reveal. And in this movie, it just kind of feels like an afterthought, if I'm being honest with it. I think we kind of know what's going on like three-quarters of the way through the movie. You don't really get the twist until like the last 15 minutes or so. It wasn't the worst twist in the world that I've ever seen, but it also didn't really add that much to the movie. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of underwhelming to me, as sometimes M. Night Shyamalan's twists are. It's okay. It's one of those, oh, okay, I see what's happening kind of twists that isn't awful, but just not as effective or satisfying to explain why this was happening in the movie. I feel like a lot of the characters give us exposition dumps prior to the twist that we already know pretty much what's happening. So that really didn't work for me. I felt like the end of the movie also went on a bit too long, where it could have ended two or three times before it actually did. So it's just some unnecessary extended scenes to extend the runtime of the movie, basically. When in reality, I feel like the movie ended kind of at a certain point, and they just kind of added more scenes. As I said before, there are a lot of exposition dumps that we're getting where the characters might as well be turning to the camera and talking directly to the audience or the viewer, really telling the audience exactly what's going on so nobody's confused. Which M Night Shyamalan really doesn't usually do in his movies that much. You just kind of have to wait for the twist, and then it's kind of given. But that's why I said the twist is more irrelevant than it is bad in this case, because the characters are basically telling us what's going on about every 10 or 15 minutes. It really kind of doesn't give the audience a lot of benefit of the doubt as far as their intelligence goes, which kind of surprised me because, like I said, M. Night Shyamalan doesn't do that a lot of times in his movies, at least not the ones I've seen. I haven't seen all his movies, of course, but that was something that stuck out to me as well. So, yeah, as you guys can see, this is kind of a really mixed bag. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's one of his great. It's definitely not up there with Split or The Sixth Sense or even Unbreakable, which are his three best movies for my money. At least are the ones that I've seen so far. I have a few more in my collection that I have to watch yet or revisit. In the case of The Village and Signs and some other earlier ones, but I'll keep this in my collection. I could see putting this on again. It'll be interesting to watch it, kind of knowing going into it and how much rewatchability it has, what the rewatchability factor is with it. But overall, I think I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. As I said, it's not terrible, but I guess I liked it well enough. I think the movie works best from the time that all these characters are on the island to about the three-fourths mark of the movie, like before the last 20 minutes or so, when we're not quite sure what's happening, and these events are happening, and there's a lot of tense scenes, and things are happening to the characters. I think that works the best. Like I'd say the first 20 to 30 minutes where they're all placed on this island, that's the best part of the movie. But yeah, the beginning and the end they're not quite as solid. So 6 out of 10 for Old by M Night Shyamalan from 2021. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of Old. If you've seen it, what you think of it. Is it one of M Night Shyamalan's better movies? Not one of his better movies? How would you sort of rate it in comparison to how I feel about it? And then why or why not down in the comments below. Please like this video and hit the little notification bell as well so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this series. I'm kind of jumping around in terms of the movies that I pick, so I'm not going in a sequential alphabetical order or anything. Um, Please subscribe to my channel as well so you don't miss any of my great horror content coming up. Not only this series, but what I have coming out basically the rest of the year I've got planned out. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you enjoyed this review and you're going to enjoy this series as you have the previous ones, hopefully. Thank you for watching. I hope everybody's doing well and stay scared. Bye.